And really, really one of the most memorable comments from a client who purchased a mobile home, a small mobile home, and she came to us and she mentioned, "You treated me like I was buying a castle."
I
Because
love
to
that.
somebody who's buying a mobile home, that might be a huge stretch, like it could be a huge stretch for somebody to buy a $2 million property.
So, if you guys have ever wanted to learn from a top agent, Carmen is a private office agent with Engel Völkers, and I met her at in Park City actually, and she was just so kind and humble and friendly. So I was like, in our network, in the Engel Völkers network, if you're not familiar with private office, it is basically the best of the best in our network. Top agents who have really achieved the success that I think all real estate agents aspire to. And to be honest, I told her this as well. I was like a little bit intimidated to approach or connect with some private office agents, but she was just so open and approachable. So I thought she would be the perfect person to launch this series where we're interviewing top agents to share their stories and their pro tips and strategies to help the next generation of business leaders in the real estate industry. So I'm so excited to have you here, Carmen. Thank you. Thank you so much for making time. And if you don't know about private office, just to give you guys a brief overview, because it is specific to the Engel Völkers network, they need to meet 2 out of the 4 following requirements for 3 years. So it's not a fluke, it's not a one time thing. They need an average sales price, at least 3 times the average sales price of the market, 12 transaction sides minimum per year, real estate transaction volume of over 25 million, and 6 or more distinct real estate transaction sides with the sales price basically about 10x what the market average sales price is. So that is a lot to accomplish. And I'm so excited to learn about your story and learn more about you. So to kick it off, Carmen, can you share your journey from starting in real estate to becoming a private office agent?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity, Kathy. I'm so delighted to be here. Thank you for all your great compliments. Well, I started real estate in 2002, and I started as an assistant to a top producer in our local community. I was interested in entering the real estate field, the profession of real estate, due to the fact that I purchased a few homes and I was very intrigued by the process. But I didn't want to just go straight into the business without having a mentorship. So starting as an assistant was a perfect way for me to learn and gain some insight on what's really, really involved behind the scenes. I worked for that agent for 4 years and I ran the transactions. I became licensed. I did the TDSs. I did it all. The AVITs, not TDS, the AVITs. I pretty much did it all from meeting the clients, showing the homes, and it was a wonderful learning experience. I really engaged in the people part of the business, nurturing the
Mhm.
database. Where's that next transaction coming from? It's not just about this transaction, it's how what comes from that transaction. And really, really, one of the most memorable comments from a client who purchased a mobile home, a small mobile home, and she came to us and she mentioned, "You treated me like I was buying a castle." And that's was the biggest compliment I received. And
I
that
love
was
that.
so inspiring to me because I wanted everyone to feel that
Hmm.
way, no matter what the
Yeah,
price point are.
I
Because
love
to
that.
somebody who's buying a mobile home, that might be a huge stretch, like it could be a huge stretch for somebody to buy a $2 million property. It
Hmm.
all depends on their, on their financial status.
Hmm.
So in 2006, I took the big leap and I launched and becoming an independent agent under a brokerage because I had outgrown my position as an assistant. And 2006, you know what happened
Hmm.
after 2006.
Hmm.
So it was
Yeah.
certainly a very trying time to start
Hmm.
in the business. But I
Yeah.
always say, I never got spoiled from the beginning. I knew it had to take a lot. And the persistency, the commitment, showing up every day, no matter what, is really what leaped me forward, what
Hmm.
ignited that passion within me. And here
Yeah.
I
And
am
how
a few
long were
years
you on a
later.
team?
It was for 4 years that I was an
Oh,
assistant to a top producer, and it was just her and I. It was
oh
just her
wow.
and I. It
Okay.
was us. We were the team. Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah,
And do you recommend new
absolutely.
agents start as an assistant like the way you did? Do you think that really helped kind of shape the foundation for your career?
I mean, it certainly helped me. As I said, I got to know the ins and outs of the transactions, the negotiations, the showing homes, the marketing, the follow up, the follow through, the nurturing the database.
Hmm.
I really got a wonderful insight in all the behind the scenes, which really created a good foundation for me in regards to expectations, because I'm a little concerned that some newer agents may not know what it really takes to be successful as a real estate agent.
Hmm. Exactly, yeah. And I also love what you shared about treating everyone the same. And that's something that I believe deeply in as well. And just treating everyone with that same level of service and that same level of respect, because it's really about caring the most. I actually listened to Alex Hermosi sales training recently, and it's like it was an hour and a half, but the gist of it was if you want to close more deals, all you have to do is care the most. It's that simple. And so I love that you shared that about, just treating everyone the same. And I mean, what would you say? I know a lot of new agents or even like people who have been in a few years, sometimes they're like, they look down upon that, like, oh, that's too small. I don't want to work on that. Like, it's not worth my time. What is your advice to people who say things like that or think things like that?
I think again, it comes back to the relationships that you
Hmm.
form. It is not about the
Hmm.
transaction itself. One time I
Yes.
sold a small townhouse for a client, and I proved myself, and then they gave me the $1 million home to sell.
Hmm.
I had no idea that was even possible or a potential once I
Yeah.
entered into a listing agreement for the townhomes. I didn't even know that it was on the horizon that they eventually potentially were going to sell their home. But they said, "You did such a great job. You cared so deeply. Well, how can we go with anybody else? We feel like we'll be very well taken care of." And that I really think it's again, if you have the mindset of what not about this transaction, but what transaction could possibly transpire from this transaction, either within the same
Hmm.
network or outside of that network, because you just don't know who knows who. And once you prove
Hmm.
yourself to one person, that will spread.
Yeah. Yeah, and how did you transition? I know now, how many transactions do you typically do a year now? And then what is the price range of those transactions now in your career?
So, I mean, in my market, I work in the Truckee, Lake Tahoe, North and West Shore of Lake Tahoe area. And our average price point is anywhere between 800,000 and upward. We have some mini
Mhm.
demographics in our area where there's some really high net worth people who live there. And then we also have our entry level homes. So my average transaction is kind of like anywhere between 900,000, and I usually close a 22 transaction a year. And sometimes that can vary a few more, a few less, but that's an average for me.
Mhm. That's amazing. That's great for you. Yeah. And
Thank you.
so, where did most of these transactions come from? Are they just relationships and referrals at this point? And if so, how did you get transactions when you first started as a brand new agent versus now?
So, as a brand new agent, I did open houses every single weekend, consistently. And that launched
Hmm.
me to building my database, launched me into the conversations, the potentials, My first listing I received was from an open house, and my and those clients called me. It's like, we met you at the open house. We so enjoyed talking to you, and then you followed up with us consistently. So they hired me as their agent, and that was that was a big accolade that I really, really appreciated. Wonderful people, wonderful to work with. It was a little bit more challenging to sell their home just due to the to that market, but they believed in me and I believed in them. And truly, I believed in the house. I believed that the
Mhm.
house was a good purchase for a potential buyer. And I think that's really, really important. We got to be excited about the product that we sell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People can
That's how I
definitely
started.
sense that excitement and
Yeah.
energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
important. And on that note, like,
Yes.
on how did you make such a great first impression at an open house to get that listing? Like, do you have a script that you follow, or is it just your enthusiasm and excitement, as you mentioned?
I think it was definitely back then my enthusiasm and excitement. I didn't have a script. I was just caring. I expressed how caring I was. I was very honest that I was fairly new to the market,
Um,
had just launched on my own, and but I knew the area, I knew the market. They asked me questions and I had the answers. So it's knowledge, expertise. Due to the fact that I had been working in the market as an assistant for 4 years, I knew the area and I had paid attention to the market. And I was always had all my stats ready when I went to an open house. I knew the neighborhood, I knew the recent sales, and so I could speak very educational to my clients that when they had a question, I could reference different homes in the neighborhood, and that pretty much communicated that I cared too.
Yeah, definitely. So what I'm hearing is basically, that authenticity and vulnerability is so important. And I love that you were honest and transparent and they respected and appreciated that. And I think that's something I hear a lot of new agents, they struggle with. They're like, oh, who would want to work with me if I'm so new? But a lot of times people just value that honesty and authenticity. And then also the fact that you took the time, energy, and made that effort to understand the market and do your research and invest in your own learning and knowledge. So those are great tips for new agents. And then
Thank
next,
you.
in your opinion, I love those, like, those are success tips, but in your opinion, I mean, we hear it all the time. I think it's like 87% of agents fail in this industry. So what are some reasons that you think agents fail in this industry?
Maybe they have the mindset that it's easy money,
Mhm.
and I think that is really, and we have to be prepared to write the market. We have to be prepared to launch and maybe have to wait for that first paycheck, for that first client who really believes and trusts in us. But I think consistency, continually focusing on personal and professional goals and improvements is key. Showing up every single day, no matter what, dress for success, have that mindset that today is going to be the best day.
Mhm. And do you have like what's your consistency? Like how did you develop that? I know that's another challenge I hear about often is that time management. How do I stay consistent? Do you have a schedule you follow or strategy you use to help keep yourself consistent, like time blocking or KPIs or anything else?
I truly believe in time blocking. I truly believe in consistency. I truly believe to when I'm committing to showing up, I'm going to be there. I belong to a couple of different organizations. I'm part of a
That's
Monday
good.
morning mastermind. We check in every single Monday morning from 10 until 11:30. That is something I'm committed to. We have wonderful speakers who inspire us. On Tuesdays, I'm part of BNI, Business Networking International. I've been part of BNI for since 2008. I actually started the chapter, and our chapter is very strong. And then I'm also a firm believer in Toastmasters. I've been part of Toastmasters since 2007. It has really supported me in being able to communicate and to develop my leadership style, which I think is very important as an entrepreneur. It is those are the meetings, weekly meetings that I have that I'm absolutely committed to. And then, of course, the sales meetings and meeting with clients, following up with clients, reaching out to clients. And I think time blocking is a very important tool.
Hmm. I love all that. And so those are three great tools, strategies, or resources. Basically, you have BNI, you have your mastermind, yeah, and then you said one other thing. So your
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters is the
Toastmasters.
third one, yeah. What
Yeah.
is the
Hmm.
mastermind something you created personally, or is it a paid mastermind that you joined?
No, it's a group of people. As I said, I am in Truckee. It's a group of agents from
Hmm.
the Bay Area, and that is our feeder market: San Francisco, East Bay,
Okay.
South Bay,
Hmm.
and we actually have people from Las Vegas. We have people from Southern California. We all check in and share how the market is, how the open houses have been, how's the interest, how long has your house been on the market, and we share that because I think it's really valuable information, because oftentimes what's happening in the Bay Area, that market trend eventually reaches us. And staying in touch with those agents and building, again, relationships and trust, so when they have somebody that they're interested in, who is interested in our market, they feel comfortable reaching out to me. It's that
I
networking,
love
networking, networking. That's another really important thing. One of the reasons why I went to Park City to meet you, right? I wanted to
that.
network. I wanted to learn about
Yeah.
Park City. I wanted to meet the advisors in the shop. So that was another reason why I traveled to Park City, and I'm so glad I did, because I got to meet you and some other amazing England Völkers advisors.
Yeah, I love what you said. I mean, it's so true. And I think that's a concept that a lot of people don't realize, the whole like give first and give value and give information, like you mentioned. And then you serve as a resource, and people are going to come to you because they know that you're that market expert, you're knowledgeable, and that you're willing to give, basically.
Another
You seem.
wonderful tool I
Mhm.
have is, since this is a secondary home market, I pretty much have a key to every single house of my clients, because they don't live here full time. So if they need anything done, they need to have the carpets cleaned, they need to have the windows washed, they need to have the toilet fixed. I just take care of it while they're gone. So next time they come up here, it's all taken care of, because I really want to make sure that when they come up here, they get to enjoy the house and they're not overwhelmed by chores that they have to attend to. And oftentimes it's difficult to get the service providers to, commit to when they're in town. So I take care of it. So it makes it easier for my clients. And that again is nurturing my database. I want them to call me, because that is an opportunity for me to prove myself to them and to provide excellent service to them, so they can actually talk about me and share it with their friends and family.
Yeah, I love that you share that because I think, I read something once that's like the best ROI are the things that you do for free. And I think a lot of us as business owners over time who have survived this industry and the test of time is because we're like, we do things that aren't our job. And I hear that a lot from especially newer agents who like come into this industry and they're like, oh, that's not my job to coordinate the cleaners. That's not my job to help with the repairs. That's not my job. I'm not a property manager, right? But I love that you share about going above and beyond and just providing that concierge level service, because I think that's really like something that's solution oriented, and that's something that really builds that credibility and rapport with your clients. So thank you for sharing that.
Hmm. You're
And
welcome.
talking about being like solution oriented, could you share a story about a challenging transaction you encountered and how you managed to navigate it successfully for your clients?
So one of the most recent challenging transactions I navigated was that my clients came to me. They purchased a house in 2000, young family, and they were expecting. So they felt like they wanted to jump into the market to purchase a larger home to accommodate the growth of their family, in a market where it was a little bit more challenging, and they would definitely needed to rely on selling their home before they could purchase a home. So it would need to be contingent on the sale of the home. And they asked me, is this the right time for us to do that? And I said, are you ready? And they said, yeah, we really want to make this happen. And it's like, then it's the right time, right? We can navigate the market, but you have to be committed. So therefore, what we did is I gave them a value on the house, which helps them set the budget for them for what they could purchase. I put them in touch with an amazing mortgage broker who had some great programs about the seller buy down credit for the interest rates. Then we took a tour to find a home, which was a little bit more challenging because the inventory is on the lower end. But we found a home that had been taken off the market. I reached out to the agent and to check if they were still interested in selling. He said they were just about to commit to a full-time rental, which they prefer not to do if they can sell the house for a certain amount. What we did is we actually, sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, my screen just went away. What we did is we wrote an offer asking for a 6% seller credit and making the purchase contingent on them selling their home, which has not even been put on the market yet. And we committed to putting the house into escrow within the first 8 days of having it on the market. So it was a very, very strict timeline, and there were a lot of contingencies. The seller was very open because they had an opportunity to talk to the mortgage broker. They felt comfortable with the program. They knew the market. I provided them the market analysis to show that the house that they are selling is priced attractively in an attractive area. So we did it. On the 8th day, we actually put the house into contract. And in the end, it was a successful transaction. Plus, they were expecting a baby boy, and they had the baby boy 2 weeks before we closed escrow. So I'm so proud of this young couple for trusting in me, trusting in the process, and taking that big leap of faith while there was so much excitement in their growing family. And I always say, if anybody's ever gonna not complain, but anybody hum about buying and selling at the same time, I will say, try having a baby in the middle of it too.
I love that story. It definitely shows how solution oriented you are and how important it is to go above and beyond and not just do the bare minimum, right? You went and called and tried to get that opportunity that was not really on the market, but then it all came to fruition. And that's probably a reason why, if it was on the market, they might not have accepted that offer, right? So that extra
Mhm.
step really allowed you to find a solution that worked and was a win-win for everyone. So I love that.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
great. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing.
Yeah. You're
And
welcome. And it wasn't the highest priced home that I've sold, but it was
mhm.
probably one of the most rewarding ones.
And a lot of times it is. And I think the people who are really successful in this industry that I've met, it's because of that. It's because we realize that, like, what fulfills us is not just the money, it's about the impact. And it's always just like,
Mhm.
what makes the most difference? What is helping people? What is adding the most value? So that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess on that note, like, what advice would you give to your younger self or a new agent beyond that, beyond caring and focusing on the impact you're making? What is there any other advice you would give to your younger self or a new agent just starting in the industry now?
Yeah. Systems, systems, systems. Really implementing systems, consistency, time blocking, and delegating. You can't do it all yourself. And if you do it all yourself, it's probably not going to be the best use of your time.
Hmm. On that note, so what tools or technologies, what systems do you have in place that you would recommend?
I would think, as for Engel and Völkers, we have some great tools. We have Zora, we have Real Scout, we have some amazing coaches within Engel and Völkers. I think you need to find what works for you. CRM is very important, a lofty CRM, and a way to track. I think that's super important as well, valuable. You need to be able to track where are your clients coming from, what is working, and what is the the best return on your investment, the best ROI.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different for everyone because we're all different people, and some have strength in other areas that where other people are not as dynamic. So I think we need to really find out where lie our strengths and choose 3 ways that we can build our database and really go after it.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice. And speaking of tracking, I guess, where what do you use to track where your leads and clients come from? And then where were the last three like lead sources that you had for your last three clients?
So it can either be, in Lofty has a really great way of tracking. You can do it in a data spreadsheet, or you can go do it in Google. It doesn't matter what you use as long as you use it. I think that's the most important part. The
Mm-hmm.
last 3 transactions I had were strictly referrals from clients, previous clients, and then also from clients, maybe another transaction with that certain client, and then also the client referring me to a friend of theirs. I'm also been very successful with Google reviews. I highly recommend making sure that you get those Google reviews, especially if they're
Mm-hmm.
5-star reviews. They are so valuable. Make sure you utilize them, make sure they're updated, make sure you approve them, and you share them. Because that is a way in our technology world, people often start their search online. And if you have a really good Google review or several Google reviews, it's really valuable because people like to hear what others are saying. And I think we as consumers, we often look for reviews as well on a product, on a person, on a service
Mm-hmm.
provider, or on a restaurant. What do other people say? And we often trust in that. So I think that's a in today's world, it's very important to have good Google reviews as well.
Yeah, that is a great tip, and I definitely agree. And I'll be the first to admit I've been guilty of like not asking for the reviews for many years, but recently I've just started asking as well. And I think some people are just like, myself included, I was like, oh, I don't want to bother people, I don't want to ask, But when I've reached out and actually asked, like most clients are more than happy to spend those few minutes and just write you a review. So I love that tip.
Absolutely, I so agree. I so agree, and
Yeah.
that's been my experience as well. People, it's like, absolutely, I would love to do that for you.
Hmm. Yeah, it's the law of reciprocity, and I realize like most people actually are kind people and good people, and they want to help and they want to give. It's just you're
Hmm.
giving them that opportunity. And I
Yes,
know you mentioned
certainly.
some great tools within the Engel and Völkers network. So can you talk about that? Like, what's your favorite thing about working with Engel Völkers? How long have you been with the company? And what are some like your favorite thing about the company or the favorite tools that you like to use like specifically?
So I joined Engel Völkers in 2017. The office was established in Truckee in 2016, and I joined them in 2017. What attracted me was is the really clean, defined, innovative style of Engel Völkers. I'm actually from Germany, so Engel Völkers is very familiar to me. And I really like the global reach where I can be assisting my friends and family in Germany or anywhere in Europe through a wonderful network that I believe in, and I know they will be very well taken care of if I connect them with one of our advisors with Engel Völkers, because Engel Völkers holds us to a high standard of doing business, and we
Mhm.
all live up to that standard. Therefore, I feel compelled to refer my clients and friends and family to an Engel and Völkers advisor to make sure they're well taken care of.
Yeah, I
That
definitely
global
agree. I feel
reach is
like
really valuable.
it is for sure. And everyone I've met has been super friendly and collaborative. I think I've worked at a big global firm before, and I specialize in commercial real estate, as you know, and the collaboration that I've seen in this network is just unparalleled and unmatched compared to any other firm I've seen, even ones that are national or international as well. So definitely agree with that. And what is your favorite thing
Mm-hmm.
about working in the real estate industry in general?
It's the people, it's the relationships. It's listening to my clients' dreams and needs and making them a reality. I love the phrase, I love making it impossible possible. Like when my
I love
clients
that.
like, is this even possible in this market to sell a house and make it contingent on buying another house? I mean, all of those things, like, yes, it is possible. I can make it possible. Together, we can make it possible. I can't do it by myself, but together. And I really want to make sure that clients don't just believe the noise they hear on the streets. I want them to come to an educated service provider who can really, really let them know what is possible instead of believing it's impossible.
Yeah, I love that because it actually is very much in a line with one of my favorite quotes, which is, "You can have everything you want in life as long as you help enough other people get what they want." So making the
I love that,
impossible
Kathy.
possible.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
I love
love
that.
that.
That's one of my favorite quotes. It's actually on
Mhm.
my like Facebook banner.
Oh,
And on that, I
nice.
guess that's a
Mm.
big part of it. But how else do you keep yourself motivated and focused on your goals consistently beyond being passionate about what you do?
I have a very strong spiritual practice that I'm committed to, that I focus on every single morning to get me started and believing that I can make a difference today. And also making sure I have my why, that why that gets me out of bed, that why that keeps me going. And that is so important. I think everybody needs to know what that why is and not to get stuck on what that it is going to be elaborate, but find something that you're passionate about. And I think that's super important. That is what keeps me motivated. I go to the office every single day. It's I could work from home, but I feel like going to the office is way more inspiring to me, and it creates an environment where professionals get together, and that's what I want to be. I'm a professional and I want to show up as a professional.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I'd love to learn more if you don't mind sharing. Like, what is your spiritual practice in the morning if you're open to sharing that?
It is a very defined meditation practice plus yoga, and
Mhm.
it takes me about 2 hours in the morning to fulfill that. And then I do it in the evening as well. And that is something that is I'm very passionate about, and it has made a significant difference in my life, the way I view life, and my inner contentment, which is very important to me.
Yeah. That's great. I love that because I just got into meditation and yoga last year, and I feel like it's definitely made a difference in my like just mindset, overall well being. And I've heard so many, and I'm like the first to admit I was like, no, I don't need meditation. I can't sit still. I'm like I need to run all over the place. But I had some mentors who were very successful, and years ahead of me in their business and career, and they swore by meditation. And so I was like, all right, let me give this a try. So I love that you share that because I think it's something that, for me personally, it's like that's the advice I would give my younger self is like get into yoga, get into meditation, like have these self care and spiritual practices. So thanks for sharing
Absolutely.
that.
I can't
Yeah.
agree more.
And then how do you maintain a work life balance while achieving all that you have? Like,
It is important to me. I mean, having a set schedule is very helpful. And then also making sure that I get out for a walk, which is part of my schedule, that I get out for a bike ride. I live in a beautiful area. I love the outdoors. I love being active in the outdoors. So mountain biking, skiing, hiking is a big part of my well-being, and making sure I take time for that. But then when I'm in the office, I'm focused. And as I shared with you, I go to the office. I'm doing business. And when I go home, yes, there's sometimes some lingering things that I need to attend to. But overall, when I go home, I go home. And having that really defined difference between being at home, going to the office, and going home. It works for me. I know some people are really successful with working from home, having a home office, and I respect that so very, very much. I just know that I it works better for me that I go to the office, and I have a beautiful office to come to. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I love that you share that because I personally like I'm a little bit more old school too, and I love the in person, like whether it's being at an office or even for me like working at a coffee shop. Sometimes it's just that energy that you get from being around other people, and so I love that because I think work from home it can work, but I think hybrid would probably be the way that it's more effective.
Hmm.
Maybe
Hmm.
that's just us. And then,
And
what's your?
I think
Mhm.
working from a coffee shop works too, because you're out and about, and hopefully you're being seen and you see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think, and on that note, it's just like that willingness to put yourself out there to connect with people and to have those conversations like we did going to Park City or going to a coffee shop and engaging in some conversation. Because I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, it's all about the people and the relationships. But to meet those people and to cultivate those relationships, you got to be around some people. So
Yes.
it's
And you have to
definitely
put
important.
effort into it. Yes.
Exactly. And so on that note, like what kind in terms of like effort and what's your approach to your personal and professional development? Are there any particular conferences, podcasts, books, masterminds, or anything that you've invested in that you think has made a significant impact and that you would recommend to other agents?
As I mentioned before, Toastmasters has been part of my life since
Mm-hmm.
2007, and that has
Yeah.
definitely assisted me in becoming comfortable publicly
Mm-hmm.
speaking. And it has an amazing leadership program as well that I've engaged in, and it has prepared me to be able to present myself in a professional way. It has built my confidence, and it has built my enjoyment too, because I love it, even though it's still very, very challenging every week I go. And I think that's a good thing because it consistently and continues to put me outside my comfort zone. BNI, I'm also very involved in the leadership portion of BNI as a director, and that is a great way to support the other BNI chapters due to the fact that I believe in BNI and the potential that you can gain from BNI, Business Networking International. I'm a I'm a supporter of that, and I want to make sure that members and chapters within BNI succeed. So I'm a resource for them to assist them when they have any challenges. Plus, I love to read. I'm more of a listener actually than a reader because I'm usually a very slow reader when I have that book in my hand. So the book reading I leave to my personal enjoyable reading, but when it becomes to professional books, I read. I listen because I'm driving my car a lot, and that's such a
Mm-hmm.
great time to listen to books. And right now I'm just about to finish Unreasonable Hospitality. Highly recommend that book. It's fantastic. Then I just finished 10 Times is Easier Than Two Times, another fantastic over the top book that I truly enjoyed. So I usually have a couple books going at the same time, which was recommended by my coach. At first, I was like, no, I have to finish one before I can start the other because I'm so systematic. So I have stepped out my comfort zone, and I've really enjoyed listening to a couple of different books at the same time. So it's been very rewarding.
Yeah, I'm actually the
I
opposite
also,
where I start too many.
okay, okay, yeah. I also
It could,
love the different opportunities that Engel Völkers provide. For example, EVX is a wonderful conference to
yeah.
attend where we get to network and we also get to learn quite a bit.
Yeah. I love EVX. It's been such
Hmm.
a great experience every time I've gone. And are you coming to Las Vegas?
Of course,
Yay!
absolutely.
Can't wait to see you
Wouldn't
here.
miss it.
So I love
I
it.
know.
And
We're coming to you, Kathy.
mhm. I know we're so fortunate to live in Las Vegas where everyone comes to us. And
Yes,
just to wrap
exactly.
up, I guess, do you have any last pieces of advice for agents that are newer and want to be where you are in business one day?
I truly believe that you have to want it. Do you really, really want it? And if you want it, you can make it a reality. And I think that's the bottom line. You have to find your why. You gotta want it, and you have to show up. and you have to ride the waves of the different real estate market, the local economy, the national economy, the global economy. They all affect our business, but you can be the pillar, you can be the rock, because you can be prepared with systems and models in place that won't rock you too much, and you can keep on going and keep on going and keep on going. Persistency.
Yeah. And on that, do you mind sharing what is your why? I always love hearing this.
My big why is that I make a difference in other people's lives. And my big why is that I want to create financial freedom for myself so I can live the life that I can imagine, that I truly deserve, and that I really want.
Thank you for sharing that. And so now that we're done with that portion, I'd love if you can just share a little bit about your market, because the intention of this is to share it with our network and help other agents, but also like, if people want to learn more about the Tahoe market, who are the buyers that are looking there? What are the reasons to buy? And that way they can contact you. And how do they contact you? If they have a buyer, an investor, someone who might be interested, given what you share.
Of course, you can reach out to me at 530-448-1643. Carmen at Carmen period Carr at engelandvölkers.com. You can look up my website. Overall, I work in the Truckee, North and West Shore of Lake Tahoe. It's a beautiful area. It's a destination area where people love to come and vacation. We have some high-end ski resorts. We have beautiful summer season. Our feeder market is mostly the Bay Area, San Francisco, East Bay, and South Bay, and then also Southern California. People love to come here and vacation here, to get out of hustle and bustle and enjoy nature at its finest. Those are the people who are most often own second homes here, look to invest financially, make it a secondary, make it an investment, or just a secondary home, a vacation home, building a legacy for their family. We have people who have owned their homes at Lake Tahoe for decades and for generations after generations, and they pass it on to their children.
And
Who
are
wouldn't want to come on
there
vacation at Lake Tahoe?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. I've only been once and I was like in love with it. I was like, that's actually one of my
Mhm.
goals, is to have a house on the water one day. So hopefully in the near future where I can call you. And do you work on both
Yay, that
sides,
would
on
be
both the
great.
California and Nevada side of it?
I work in the California side, and I have a really
Okay.
great team on the Nevada side.
Awesome. And is it Airbnb friendly there? Because I know a lot of Airbnb investors are always curious about that area.
So there are some Airbnbs, STR, short-term rental restrictions.
Mhm.
It depends on which area it is in. Every one varies just a tiny little bit. In the town of Truckee currently, you cannot apply for an STR permit for the first year that you own a property. But after that, you can certainly apply, and it is a waiting list. But overall, I would say you can probably obtain a permit within two years. Short-term rentals is anything below 30 days. After 30 days, it's a regular rental, and this area is very well known for ski leases, where people rent out their homes for numerous months during the ski season, from November through April and any time frame in between, where you actually charge a monthly rate, and people commit to a certain amount a month, and they pay upfront, and that does not fall under the short-term rental category because it's longer than 30 days.
That's good information to know. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for your time, Carmen. So appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you in Las Vegas when you're here for EVX. So
Sounds
thank you
good.
so
Thank you so
much.
much, Kathy. I'm Carmen Carr, proudly affiliated with Engel Völkers. If you have any needs in the Turkey Tahoe area, I would love to assist you, and I promise you'll experience real estate at a higher level.
Yes, I appreciate you. Okay,
Bye,
let's see.
Kathy.
Thank you. Let me see. I think it's gonna upload. Let's see. If I stop the recording.